All right, guys, so we are going to do a run through of the blood spatter design experiment for activity 114. So we are looking at step 12, if you navigate to that on the curriculum. So we're going to look at the experimental design process. So the first thing in the experimental design process, we have to identify a question. So what is it that we want answered? All right, so we are asking the question that there's blood spatter, or blood drops at the crime scene, and we want to know, where did that come from? Did it, fall from up here, over here? How high was that blood dropped from? So that's our question that we want answered.
Okay, the next step in the experimental design is step number 2, make a prediction. So our prediction is going to be if the blood is dropped higher, then the diameter of the blood drop will be smaller. So that's what we're going to look through as we go through this experiment. Our third part of the experimental design is designing our experiment. So we need to look at our materials. So one of the things that we're going to use is this meter stick, and we're going to use the centimeters, which is the smaller side here. So we're going to do everything in centimeters. We also have already indicated the paper that we're going to drop these blood drops on. So we have at the top the height at which the blood drops will be dropped onto this paper. We also have our simulated blood that we're going to use, and we're also using these pipettes. So those are the materials that we're going to use. As far as the experiment itself, what we're going to do is have this paper laying on the floor, and then we're going to measure to the appropriate height, and then with our pipette filled with blood, we are going to find the height, and at a 90-degree angle right here, we're going to then drop one drop of blood, and then another drop of blood, and another drop of blood. So we have 3 drops of blood in each section on our paper. After that, then we're good, and we have to let it dry overnight. We have to identify our independent and dependent variable. So our independent variable is what we are manipulating, and that will be the different heights. So the heights that the blood is dropped from, that is our independent variable. And then the diameter of the blood drop will be our dependent variable. Okay.
All right, guys, right now we are dropping at 20 centimeters. So we are keeping that 90-degree angle. And we've got 2 drops, and we've got 1 more coming. Beautiful. This is 40 centimeters.
Is it 90 degree?
There, you're good.
Okay.
This is 60 centimeters. This is 80 centimeters. Science, guys. It's science.
Okay, I'm not hitting it.
We're problem solving, guys.
Okay.
We're going to measure and then pull the measuring stick away so that way it doesn't keep running.
And then
Beautiful.
ooh.
This is 100 centimeters. Oh, we got to pull the meter stick away.
Wrong spot. So I'm getting these all in the wrong area, so we'll have to adjust our...
There we go. We just made a minor adjustment there and noted that those 3 are 100 centimeters rather than 120. So no worries, guys. All right, so this one is 120 centimeters. Got 1, 2, and 3. Thought this was kind of interesting. See how the drop looks different here at these 120. Kind of cool. All right, we're starting with 140 on this one.
Try it this way. Nope, got on my hand.
Good thing it's fake blood.
Yeah.
1.
Okay, hit it.
Beautiful. 102. This one is 160. Beautiful. These ones are 180. Once again, we've got the drops not cooperating with where we want them to be at this height. So we'll just make a note and it'll be totally fine. So here you can see our results on the right. We had to adjust because that's where it fell. So we just changed it to 180. And then the one where I have the other markings and the X's, those were actually our 200s. And the ones that have X's, we had to end up getting rid of those because we mixed the spots on accident and then one went off the paper. So we cannot use those for reliable results. All right, so we did the experiment and we dropped all of the blood drops. And so now what we have to do, we have to wait for it to dry because otherwise it could change our results and those blood spatters could kind of move or drip. And so we don't want to mess up our results. So we're going to wait for that to dry. And then we're going to measure, we're going to take the ruler and we're going to measure in millimeters. So you'll still use the centimeter side, but each of the little ones, we've got the millimeters. And we're going to measure in millimeters what the diameter of each blood drop is. And then we're going to need to take an average of each of those 3 trials, and we'll figure out what the average diameter of a blood drop from that height is. And then we're going to need to take all of those averages, and we will need to plot those onto a graph. And so you will see that you have on... Sorry, guys, got to look at the student side. On step 19, you have the height determination graph, and you guys are going to pull that up and you will plot it directly on that graph. And then we can look at a standard curve of our plotted points in order to determine where, once we measure the crime scene spatter drops, it's like a tongue twister, then we can actually find where on the standard curve that aligns with the height. And so we can figure out what height the blood came from.